Our thanks to Chief Photographer Will Santowski for helping put that story together tonight. Well, tonight people across the Gillette area are receiving flyers in the mail promising a free meal at the restaurant Primal Eats. Now, the offer comes with a condition and now more than a little confusion, especially for the restaurant. Victoria Frazier reached out to both sides trying to get those answers.
Masa Global, a medical transportation company located in Florida, reached out to Primal Eats in January to book an event space and catering for March 6. Director of Operations David Krajowski says he was skeptical of the reservation.
There was just a lot of red flags that popped up, and started some communication with them, asked a lot of questions, a lot of things weren't lining up, and I just became very suspicious and kind of looked into them a little bit more.
After further review, the restaurant declined the request, but David says he was contacted by the company again, wanting to confirm the reservation, which he says was never booked. So it came as a shock when he found out what some employees and neighbors received in the mail.
It was brought to my attention well after the fact. I mean, I already knew what was going on, and I had already told them to not do this. So the fact that they still mailed it out and then were trying to pressure us into doing it.
The invite promised a free meal provided by Primal Eats if recipients attended the event hosted by Masa Global. Restaurant staff sharing this post to their social media page to alert the community to the fake meal voucher. Krajowski says the restaurant has caught on to other scams in the past, like catering orders being placed with a stolen credit card. But he says this is the first time he's experienced something like this.
Really question what you're looking at. I mean, we look at hundreds and hundreds of requests all the time. So when something stands out, especially the emails, the phone numbers, and specifically how the language is written out.
The restaurant says it's continuing to notify customers and encourage anyone with questions about the mailers to contact them directly. Masa Global has not yet responded to requests for comment. Reporting in Gillette, Victoria Frazier, Action 2 News.